I always describe things in like the way they make you feel. So like for wishful thinking, I wanted this experience as like a tap room to feel like a lazy Sunday where you're floating down the river and you're with your friends. The sun is just starting to set, and you're like, should I crack another beer? Like you said, another like sessionable beer, so like a 4% beer, like something that's not really gonna impact your Monday. But that feeling of like wanting the day to linger a little longer, that wishful thinking that like, oh, maybe I can just like prolong this moment a little more.
Welcome to YMI Talking, a podcast where the guests are so good, you'll wonder why the host is even talking. In each episode, you will hear one of the leaders of the Lehigh Valley's vibrant business hub. They will tell you the keys to their success, the mistakes they've made, and what they have in store for the future. Here is the host of YMI Talking, from YMI Insurance, Jimmy Honachik.
All right, that is me. I'm Jimmy Honachik, and I'm here with another YMI Talking Podcast episode. And this one's going to be phenomenal. We've got two incredible people doing something awesome, and I'm really excited. So, Brendan and Jackie Breslin from Wishful Thinking Brewing Company. You guys are not live yet, but you are coming live with some big stuff. And so thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I know that you are, planning on launching in a month or so, and you're literally getting deliveries right now. So I'm sure this was not a, quiet time for you guys. So thank you for making, the time for it.
Sure.
Tell us about wishful thinking. What is wishful thinking? Why should people be excited? Let us know what's going on there.
Sure. Wishful thinking, as the brewery, not as the concept quite yet, but will be a tap room and a pizza kitchen that we operate here in South Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. We have about a 2,000 square foot space with about 20 bar seats and like 60 seats in the dining room that we're sitting in now. We're sitting in like our little merch and takeout area right now. It was formerly the Bavarian Tavern, which the sign behind us
So you kept that?
Yeah. So
that's cool, like a piece of history.
Yeah. Our friend Sam, who is the owner of the building, also the owner of Bomb Place, he was originally going to use the space as a second location for Bond back when they bought it in 2018. But then with the pandemic, it just changed things for them. But yeah, he had kept the sign here, and it was important for them. And then became, something important for us to kind of keep that tie to like the local community and like what this space previously was. So keeping that here. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I guess kind of thinking about what the beers we are going to be offering and what the pizzas we'll be offering. Everything's based around local agriculture. So all the grain is coming from either South Jersey or Halifax, PA. Some of it's being malted in like the Willow Grove area. From Double Eagle Malt. We're also using Rabbit Hill Malt, which is in South Jersey. And then our flour for the pizza will be, right now it's coming from Halifax, PA, so I think it's like an hour away. We're probably gonna experiment with our pizza dough a little bit with local grains and find that perfect ratio that we want. But so it starts with local grain, starts with local hops. We've used local hops from Flemington, New Jersey, out of Sky High Hop Farm. We're using New York State Cascade and Chinook hops in beers. Just that's kind of like the idea that we have around the brewery. It's based on kind of the thought that Pilsner was invented in Pilsen. With the idea that to use the local agriculture, to show off the local agriculture and kind of show off what the Czech Republic had to offer in that time. And our whole business is kind of based around the idea, or the Lucre faucets, the Lucre Tower that we went and designed in the Czech Republic back in November. And these ideas kind of stemmed from that trip, very much inspired from that trip. People will see the Lucre Tower as soon as they walk into the door. It's 110 pounds of brass. It matches the bar top. It's like the focal point of the brewery, and it kind of shows like what we're here to do, which is kind of present these beers that are made with local malts, local hops, and present it in a way that is like with a huge focus on attention to detail, making sure that everything from the grain, the taste of like the beer is unique. It kind of has that terroir sense that you can taste like the place that we're living in, and then it's presented with these Lucre faucets that provide a nice 4 fingers with foam on top. And that will be everything from lagers to IPAs to blonde ales. We're thinking about doing some sours with local fruit and stuff like that.
All right. So I have like 800 directions I want to go right now, and I'm trying to figure out which way to go. I mean, you said so many things there, right? Like your ties to the local history, your focus on Pilsners, and that as a showcase of your local environment. And Lucre, in all the material, like I'm on your mailing list. I follow you guys on social. Lucre is kind of there front and center. And for those who don't know, I think you used some terms that I wasn't even sure. What is the Lucre, and how does it factor into what you guys are doing?
Yes, the Lucre faucet. It was. I might get some of this history wrong, but it was either. I always forget if it was. I guess it was technically invented in like the early 90s. They had like previous versions of it, but it wasn't technically a Lucre faucet. But it's engineered as like a ball valve that you can really control the flow of the beer. You can have it 15 degrees open, and it'll create a dense, creamy foam. And then as you layer the foam on the bottom of the glass, as the tapster or the bartender sees the foam build, then they'll pull the faucet all the way open to allow for bright beer, fresh beer to flow underneath the foam to keep it the freshest experience for the consumer. When I came across the Lucre faucets back in, I think it was 2020. Maybe even, I guess I knew about it earlier than 2020, but I think I bought one in 2020. I guess I learned about it through Notch Brewing up in Massachusetts. They were really, I think, the first people to have a Lucre faucet in America. And I just love the idea of foam being like the focus of the drinking experience. And not so much like you see like milk tubes or milk pours and stuff like that. Like that is a great trend, and it's a fun trend to get behind. But the idea that like you take that first sip of beer, and it's like you get like kind of hit with foam on the nose and like on the upper lip, and it's like this really cool, creamy, pleasant experience that you just don't get with like traditional, I guess, American pouring, where it's either, if anything, a quarter inch of foam on top,
And that foam will quickly dissipate.
Yeah.
And it's just bigger air bubbles. So when people are like asking us like, what's with all the foam? We have to really like explain that. It's like, well, the pouring technique, and it's traditional and in the Czech Republic, but it really just creates a more well-rounded drinking experience. And it also protects the beer as well. It allows your beer to sit with that nice cap of foam and sort of last you longer. So if you're having a meal or just hanging out with your friends, that cap of foam should pretty much stay as you're drinking the entire beer.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like I go somewhere, they pour me a beer. You guys aren't pouring a beer; you're pouring an experience. It seems like there's more to it, and you're really kind of delving into that. And you just brought something up, Jackie, that I thought was interesting, which is the idea of it being sessionable, right? That you sit there and you kind of session the beer. And I saw that on the website before this. And I think that's something that's almost missed. And I don't want to speak out of turn, but like IPAs I feel like are still all the rage. And I'm almost sick of them at this point. And the idea of, something that's lighter, and you can kind of sit there and just drink and relax and have a good time with your friends is a breath of fresh air in the brew space. Do you guys find that? Is that kind of what you've seen?
Yeah, that for us personally, and our goal as a business, that's sort of how kind of even the idea of like the name behind Wishful Thinking, at least partially, started. As we
Tell me, because I was curious, like how you came up with that name and why we chose Wishful Thinking.
We have like two kind of different stories, but or two different meanings, which I think are good that it applies to each of us. But for me, it was really like, as we mentioned before, maybe it's just to you, we live along the river and we're big into like tubing and just kind of sitting in the river behind our house, chilling there on a summer day. But sort of the idea of like, I always describe things in like the way they make you feel. So like for Wishful Thinking, I wanted this experience as like a tap room to feel like a lazy Sunday where you're floating down the river and you're with your friends. The sun is just starting to set and you're like, should I crack another beer? Like you said, another like sessionable beer. So like a 4% beer, like something that's not really going to impact your Monday. But that feeling of like wanting the day to linger a little longer, that wishful thinking that like, oh, maybe I can just like prolong this moment a little more. And Brendan had sort of.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like a yin and a yang to wishful thinking, which is like I feel like my life is just all about that. Like just like what Jackie said, like the kind of like allowing yourself to be naive or like ignorant to certain things because you want to relax on the river and you want this like feeling of contentment and happiness. But it's also like the dark side is like, I feel like a lot of people don't, what I say to people in the beer industry or people around the beer industry, and I think a lot of my colleagues or former coworkers kind of like, I don't know, relate to is like, you have to be a wishful thinker to be in one of these industries, whether it be a cook, a brewer, like even a bartender, like depending on like if like what kind of like bartending job it is, like there is like a level of like attitude you have to have where it's very much like I think I was wishfully thinking throughout college when I was in business school because all my friends were like focused on accounting and like these more business
insurance.
Yeah. But they were focused on getting these more business like jobs, and I was like, I'm gonna ride my bike to intern at a brewery for free because like I see myself doing this. And then like when I got hired right out of college, it was probably good money for a brewer, but it was half of what all of my friends were making, and it was kind of like I just kept thinking like there's an end to this, and like I don't know. Thinking in this way really got me through the past 10 years of the beer industry. And I think a lot of my colleagues can share or can relate to that of sometimes you just have to have that attitude.
And do you think this is it? All that wishing, all that, optimism and hope for what you will get in the future. Has it come to fruition with wishful thinking?
Yeah, starting to.
I think.
We hope.
Yeah, I think. We have some beers, in the tanks, and the idea of this, I don't know, encompassing style, not even style, but encompassing idea of the beer that we're going to be presenting is definitely like gives me a good feeling. The idea to use all local ingredients. We talk to the farmers, we talk to the maltsters, and being able to like taste, especially the one lager that will be on draft at opening, like it's so unique and it's like crisp, but it's like kind of like almost like creamy vanilla from like the crackeriness from the Pilsner malt, and then Like the Double Eagle Munich malt gives it like a nice toasted bread in the background with earthiness from the Sky High hops. Like it's all so unique because we're not ordering it from the same catalog everyone else is, and like it's coming together in a way that um, is really amazing. And I think it's going to be an incredible product, especially like it's funny because even I'm getting a little off topic here, but like Pilsner was invented in Pilsen where the water is like famously soft, and like Bethlehem has like the softest water in the area, and it's like this cool, unique comparison. I think we were talking to Sam Masato from Bomb Place, and I think I said Bethlehem's the Pilsen of PA. Like it's very cool to be able to like see what these beers are becoming, and we're doing everything like with intent, and it feels really good. So until we're open and like maybe the bank account isn't dwindling every time when a delivery gets made, I think that feeling will start to I don't know.
Dissipate.
Yeah, dissipate. I don't know.
And you guys have mentioned, Pilsen and Czech Republic. And so talk to me about, your trips overseas and how that's influenced the kind of beer that you're making.
Yeah. So we have only been to the Czech Republic once. This past November, we got married in August. So we were going sort of like as a honeymoon, but also a beer exploration.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were primarily in Prague, and then we took a couple-day trip to Pilsen to meet with Luker and visit Pilsner Quell and just kind of, see that city. But yeah, I think especially like as my role here as taproom manager, and like just as someone who is very passionate about hospitality in general, going there, but like completely. I wouldn't say it changed things because I think it was like the track that we were headed on with wishful thinking, but it really solidified like how we want this experience here to be for our visitors. And being able to just like go to all the different, like whether it was old breweries, modern breweries, bars that had been there for 100 years, like just different, all different experiences there. But ultimately rooted in that same primarily, Pilsner drinking experience. Like we had mentioned with the tradition of Luker, there's more than just the pouring of the faucet. There's preparation in the glassware and storage of the glassware and in a glycol bath. So everything's kept at a certain temperature, and the beer is going into that glass at an equal or colder temperature, just to, again, aid in that drinking experience. So visiting all of these different places that are doing the same thing, but in their own maybe unique ways, really solidified, our mission here and how we want to have that play out. And I thought that was it was an important trip to go on and good timing.
Yeah, I mean, we like I said, like in 2020, I bought a Luker faucet, and we've poured with it at home a few times on our kegerator, and like so I'm a huge. I was a huge fan of Luker when we went on the trip, and but I think coming out of that day gave me like a boost of confidence to be like, no, this is like exactly what we're gonna do. We are now like, we have like the cred, I guess, in a way. We have like we're not certified Luker tapsters, but like we took a shorter version of the course. We met the people at Luker at the factory, and they like talked us through stuff, and then also just going to like every pub in Pilsen or Prague, and like there's the tapster who is a respected individual in the bar who's like doing everything with intent, from using a sponge to clean every single glass to dipping it in or soaking them in the glycol bath to, making sure that every beer is coming out poured properly. And like, it just was a sense of like pride that these people had, which definitely like blew my mind. I guess to like step back from the trip that we had in the fall. And because you asked about our trips in general. I mean, the first trip we went on and back in 2018, we were just like, dating for, I think, less than a year. And we went to Ireland, and it was an overnight flight, and I didn't sleep at all on the flight. I don't think I ate in the past like 18 hours. And I was like, we were on a bus to the city center, and like, I was like, I got to get off this bus. Like, I do not feel well. We need to get food like now. And I mean, I didn't know much of Ireland in general. Like, we did a little bit of research, but we were kind of like, sounds like a cool drinking city. And we walk in, and we each get a Guinness, and there's like a cool.
And it's 8 o'clock,
Yeah,
maybe
it's
7 o'clock in the
yeah.
morning.
There's a crowd of overnight workers, like security guards, and this one guy had like a dog collar on, like it was just like this crazy experience.
For 7 a.m.
Yeah, and like people were just screaming, and they were like making fun of us because of how we said we were from America, because they were like, "No shit, you're from America." But I remember drinking that first Guinness, and like the foam on that was like incredible, to the point of like, I remember drinking it all in like 2 minutes, and at the bottom of the pint was just like still like 2 inches of foam. That is just like I mean, Dublin Guinness is like a milkshake. It's just such an incredible experience. It's one of definitely my favorite things in the world. And so like the idea that this, like back in 2018, it was definitely like the beginning stages of understanding that like this presentation in beer was going to be an important part of our lives.
There's such a legacy and tradition and history that you guys are sort of taking and carrying on. I mean, it's really exciting. That's kind of what I'm hearing from you guys. What are you each most excited about in this? When you guys go live, what are you geared up and ready and excited for?
I mean, for me personally, it's just, I think, putting this big idea that Brendan it's really been, even before we met, it was his goal to open a brewery like this. But I think it'll just be, putting all of this into action. And like I mentioned, hospitality and service being a big passion of mine. I think just being able to be here in this space that we're looking at now, with like still some clutter around and things like needing to get to fall into place, but being able to like take care of people here and to feed them with really what we think is good quality pizza and beer, and give them that experience of all that wishful thinking has been in our minds for the past few years as we've looked for a space and kind of let things evolve. I think just like being able to see people interact with our brand and our products in that way. I think for me, just being able to take care of people in this space.
I would say like just giving people a unique experience that I believe that you can't really find around. I mean, properly poured lagers, and even the way we're going to be pouring IPAs and ales is heavily influenced by like modern day brewers of Prague, and I don't see anyone else doing that around, even like in the country. I mean, there's a few brewers that are really focused on pouring lagers properly, but we're kind of inspired by the modern day brewers to be able to kind of offer a variety of beers that will be poured with with an intention to detail. But also just, I don't know, I feel like there's a part of the craft beer industry that's a little lost right now. Back in 2018, 2019 when we met, I guess 2018 when we met Bomb Place, and I was at Stickman Brews, and we did some collaborations with them, and we there was like an incredible friendship that was born back then throughout, brewer to brewer, brewer to any kind of like, either restaurant or farm or whatever. And sometimes I feel like a lot of that's lost, just maybe because craft beer like kind of hit like during the pandemic, it got hit pretty hard. But like we're really, it's exciting to be making friends that are like excited about wishful thinking, whether that be Bomb Place or Wild Fern opening up in Frenchtown, and or Concrete Blues down in Philly, or like these brewers that we're working on collabs with already. And then like our old friends like that we've known for a while at Hidden River, and just like now that we're owners of the brewery, we can kind of we can reach out to these people and like and ask if they want to do a collaboration or like throw ideas around to get creative. So yeah, a huge part of my excitement is seeing the consumers like get excited about what I'm most excited about with the Lucre pours and especially the pizzas. I mean, everyone seems to love the pizza, so they're kind of hard not to love. But
That was
also,
my next question. Let's talk pizza. I mean,
yeah.
I follow you guys on, like I said, on the mailing list, and I get everything that comes in. You guys do an incredible job with presentation, and so yes, your pizza looks amazing. And then we were talking before this, and you're describing your pizza to me, and I couldn't even handle it. Like, I'm so hungry right now. Tell everyone, okay, we know the beer is going to be great, the pour is going to be great, the experience is going to be wonderful. Tell us about the pizza.
So yeah, we had been, I think Brendan had mentioned before he started doing Detroit style pizzas, or we kind of just say square pies because they're not like exactly Detroit style, and neither of us is from Detroit, as we've gotten that question a lot. But yeah, so pan pizzas, so thicker crust, lots of cheese, so it has that crispy, crunchy edges, and then the sauce is on top. So yeah, we have been, or Brendan had started this at Stickman, just kind of doing it during the pandemic on a pop-up basis, and then kind of more regularly. And then we started operating Pizza Post, where we would go to, we would pop up at different breweries and farmers markets, and yeah, sell these pies. We were cooking in like the back parking lot under a 10 by 10 tent with our two little like propane powered uni ovens. But we would fire out like as many as like 80 to 100 pies in a couple hours with those ovens. So we quickly got a pretty good, big following from doing that, just in sort of like Bucks, Montgomery, Lehigh County, like a few, the surrounding counties. So we did that for a year as we were kind of still looking for a space, a more permanent home for the brewery. And we always knew pizza was going to be a part of that. So we thought, let's get started on the pizza side of things. But yeah, people are excited. We're doing our first pizza pop-up, just takeout only here from the spot on Saturday. Tomorrow. And tomorrow. So we have about 80 pies reserved for like a 12 to 5 time slot. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. We have like an oven that can actually it could handle like 30 pies at once. So it won't be as challenging as like being out in a parking lot doing those in two little ovens. But it'll be our first kind of trial day here with our pizzas.
That's awesome. I didn't even realize, but we are running low on time, and we didn't hit half of those things that I said I wanted to hit at the top. Real quick, so we are sponsored by Hocus Pocus Cleaning Services. They are, a local residential cleaning and commercial cleaning company, and they're amazing. And they do all these awesome things, but their name is Hocus Pocus. And so I have to ask you guys during this segment, if you could have any magical power, what would it be?
Sure. I think I have to tie it back to like our kind of intent here with wishful thinking, and I feel like it would be like time travel to like transport to that moment that I mentioned of like tubing down the river, and like when those moments of chaos come, like just being able to mentally transport, which I think we have the ability to do, but like it would be cool to physically transport to that different moment of sort of zen and bliss, just for a little pause, a little reset.
And Brendan, how about you?
I'd probably say, which is the complete opposite, invisibility. Because sometimes I just want to sit in the corner and be invisible, and either be drinking a beer, just either doom scrolling on my phone, or or just closing my eyes while sipping on a beer, and no one knows I'm there, and I'm just content in my little corner. But that's also because we're opening a business, and some days are a little stressful.
I'm sure. Yeah. You've definitely earned a beer. I'm going to leave. Well, I'll wait. If we're wrapping up, is there anything that we didn't hit that we should hit? Can you let everyone know? I kind of alluded to when you're opening, but anything in particular that you want to hit?
No, I mean, so we're hoping to open late April, early March, or early May. We basically have all our approvals, so none of that should be stopping us at this point. We're just waiting to train some bartenders, train a kitchen staff, and then organize the space and kind of get processes in order. It'll be kind of a surprise. We don't think we're going to give too much a heads up for an opening, but just follow our social medias and everything like that.
And we'll be doing these pizza pop-ups most likely on a somewhat regular basis. So if people want to get pizza in the meantime before we open, just, again, follow along and we'll announce that.
I saw there's one this Saturday, which will be, last Saturday when this episode airs, but I'm right?
Well, yeah. And we'll probably, we're looking to probably do one a week until opening. So, and most likely it'll be on a Saturday, maybe Sunday. Depending on our schedules.
So yes, people should follow you at Wishful Thinking Brewing Company on Instagram. Anywhere else?
It's Wishful Thinking Beer on Instagram, and that's our website as well. So yeah.
Awesome. And so I'm going to leave, myself mentally on the river, trying to hold on to those last rays of sunshine in summer. I think it's beautiful. And I think that's a great, image for the brewery. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I really enjoyed this conversation, and best of luck as you get rolling here.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the YMI Talking Podcast. If you enjoyed this and want to hear more content from amazing personalities in the Valley, please subscribe, leave a rating, and drop us a quick review.